Welcome to Builds with Bloks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, and I'm joined by Tom Fishenden,
Hello there.
Matt Salvatore,
Ahoy, ahoy. How's it going, guys?
and we're joined by a very special guest, Sal from HaloFanForLife. Say hello, Sal.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for joining us. So we are going to dive into some background on Sal and have some fun questions. We have a fun show for you, and then we're actually going to dive in later into what the idea that we came up for you is because Sal has a long history with Halo in general and Mega Construx, Mega Bloks. What sets we haven't seen that we want? And so that's the topic, the main topic of the show. But before we dive into that, let's just kind of go around the horn and talk about what we've all been up to. I'm going to start with Matt this time. What have you been doing on the building front?
Not too much on the building front. I have been tweaking a little bit on the editing for some stop motion videos,
Nice.
but that's pretty much it on that. I have been actually because of the mission debriefs Spartan Assault. I decided to boot that up and play that.
Okay.
I'm reminded how awesome that game is.
Yeah, we just recorded that recently, and surprisingly,
nice.
everybody was on board. Everybody was having fun with it.
It makes you feel like you're actually like controlling Mega Bloks because they're so far away. They look like the Mega, because we never did get that game that they teased about the Mega Bloks. It's kind of nice that maybe this is kind of like the substitute.
Yeah, that would have been great. Mhm. Nice. Anything else?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
It's been kind of a slow build day.
Yeah. Tom, how about yourself?
Yeah, I have still not opened my Master Chief and Arbiter set.
Oh,
Yeah, really excited to get it open eventually.
Stare at it for a
Hopefully
while.
get a video done on that. Yeah, I've kind of got it on a pedestal. I've got a little shrine with loads of candles and pictures of the characters from the game around it. So I'll get there eventually.
I like it.
But beyond that, literally the only other thing I've done is my friend in America sent me a message because he was ordering some stuff from Entertainment Earth, and he was like, "Oh, this has popped up. Do you want me to add it to my order for you? Because it's only going to add $1 extra shipping." So I now have got the Predator 2-pack that literally just got announced the other day on its way when it gets released, which is like Dutch in the thermal vision, and then the Predator with the eyes lit up and the laser coming out. So I'm really excited to get that. But that's pretty much it as well. It's been quite kind of quiet here. I've been a little bit more laid back recently.
Yeah. All good there. Sal, how about you? Why don't you go give a little overview of what you've been up to?
Well, let's see. Building wise, the last set that I built actually wasn't a Halo set, but it is a Mega Construx set. It's the Dragon from the Game of Thrones set.
Oh, yeah. How was it?
It's fantastic. I actually have it sitting next to me. It's
big.
It's a fun build. Pretty big. I was able to get it on sale. I think it normally retails for $70 US, and I got it for $45 US. But I love it. It's got these massive wings, and the wings. Now the frame of the wings, of course, is block built, but the actual wings itself are cloth, and it's printed on them. So it's really cool. But Halo wise, I did just take all the pictures for the Halo. Let's see, the Master Chief and Arbiter 2-pack set that Tom was mentioning. I actually was lucky enough to get 2 of those. A buddy of mine actually works at a Walmart, and so he found 2 sets for me and sent them to me. So I have one that I'm going to keep carded, and then the other one I opened up and took the photos for the review that I'll have up soon.
Nice.
Perfect. I did the same thing. I got 2. One to keep tucked away just in case. Very nice.
You lucky.
Cool. And then you've been doing a bunch of reviews as well. You want to talk about that real quick?
Sure. Well, May is I've dubbed it the mega month of reviews. I've been doing reviews Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yeah.
And there were originally 12 planned out, but I have 2 more that I'll be adding to it. So those will actually get pushed into June then, because it's a pretty packed schedule for the month. But I have most of those written up now.
Great.
And as of this taping, a lot of those will have been posted then. The ones that I'm still working on are the Master Chief, the large one, and the 20-in-1 Scorpion. Those 2 reviews haven't been written yet, but those are going to be big ones. In fact, the Scorpion set will probably be a multi-day, multi-article review because it's just so big.
Yeah, Matt, you have that one, right?
The Scorpion. Oh yeah, it's a really nice build.
Yeah, it's I haven't opened mine yet, but I'm excited to because I want to pick out. I want to get a second one too, just so I have a second one because mix and match and all that sort of stuff. But cool, looking forward to that. If you haven't checked out Halo Fan for Life, go there. There is all sorts of good content on the blog, and check out his review section. And he has all sorts of Mega Construx reviews. As he said, Sal said, in May he's really action packed. May full of mostly new stuff, right? It's all the newer stuff that has come out recently, Sal.
What for
Halo Mega Construx? Yeah.
For May, yeah. I've had some of these reviews and photos and whatnot taken since last year, probably around like October, and I just finally decided to post a whole slew of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're only like that old, but a lot of them are very recent sets.
Very nice. Yeah. So we'll talk into more of that in a little bit, but it's always good to see other people out there reviewing. I love reading reviews. I love reading your reviews. It kind of validates your own, your own feelings, or, sometimes you pick out things that you didn't see, when you're opening them originally. So it's very good. Very nice work, sir. All right. So I guess I can go really quick. I built my Banished Banshee. Tom, you inspired me. Because remember we talked about in the Clash for the Ring blind bag series, you asked me if the green was the same green. I was like, I really got to break that thing out finally. So I built it. It was a fun build. Beautiful set. But the green is actually darker green. It's not as lime bright green as the Clash in the Ring Spartan that you get.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's blinding. Those things are.
Yeah.
But it was a fun build. Love having that thing out. I have another one that I want to get out, so I want to have my little Banished. At least I know there's a Ghost and then the Banshee that they have, so I want to get those out and put them together on a display.
You have actually reminded me as well. I was able to get another one of the Halo 5 Banshee for £6. So I bought that second hand off of one of my friends on one of the Facebook groups recently, and I just built that the other day and have got it sitting opposite the original one I had. So I've now got a pair of the Halo 5 ones.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite Banshee design.
It's a good one.
It's cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I also organized my closets. I mentioned, I think, that I'm had that big lot. It's moved on, and the room that I had everything in was just a mess. So I finally finished organizing my closets and my little kind of stowaway spot for all my sets. So that feels good. I labeled all the boxes at what's in there. So I'm feeling really good about that. And now everything in like my main closet, I can it's stuff that I want to pull out and organize. Whereas like the tucked away section is like, okay, I'll get to this stuff eventually, or I can get back to this later. So that feels really good. Really good peace of mind there. The other thing that I did is I also, as I was organizing, I pulled out a couple more figures for my chess sets. That thing it's coming one of these days. I'm going to tell you that it's done, but it's not done yet. So I did pull out a couple more Flood figures, and I had a Banished set already ready to go. So we're getting closer to getting that done. I also picked up, I've been staring at it forever, and I just haven't been able to get to Walmart. Well, I've gotten to Walmart once or twice since, the things are, being locked down, but I haven't found my Raphael or my Claptrap yet. So I finally pulled the trigger. I had some credit on Amazon, so I finally pulled the trigger on those. I overpaid a little bit, but that's okay because I had the credit to cover it.
Ooh, that Claptrap figure.
Yeah, right. So I'm excited.
I buy every one of those that I find now.
Yeah, right.
Because there's so many variants in the Borderlands games, so I want to repaint some of mine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Very nice. All right, well, let's get into it with Sal then. Sal, you have this blog, HaloFanForLife. You've had it for quite a while. It's very self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It talks about your love just for the franchise itself. Can you give us a little bit of background of just your history with Halo and like, you know, when you've started playing the games, all that sort of stuff?
Sure. So the first time I played was 2001. Obviously, that was Halo CE.
Yeah.
I was over at a friend's house. This was back during my days where I heavily collected Star Wars, and I belonged to a statewide collecting group, and every month we had a collecting meeting. Just, you know, it was just fun. It was just a way for us to get together. We would always bring like our latest Star Wars toy, and we'd always have like a show and tell kind of thing. And but this guy had an Xbox, and he had it booted up, and Halo was on it. And most of the other guys had played it, but I hadn't played it at that point. So he's like, you know, give it a try. And I just immediately was astounded by it. It was within a couple of days after that I decided to buy an Xbox and Halo. Before that, I was a PlayStation guy, so I wasn't sure about getting another console.
Yeah, right. You jumped teams, right?
What, once I got Halo, I've never gone back. So the last PlayStation I had was the PS2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't gotten a PlayStation since then. Any console I've got now, it's always been Xbox.
I like it.
But,
Very cool.
So that's how long I've been playing. So it has been since the beginning. As far as collecting or my blog goes, the blog started in 2011, and but prior to that, I had been reviewing sets on another site. Now that site's defunct now, so I lost about 2 years worth of reviewing stuff there. But oh well.
Yeah. So you, so I guess back to just your origins of Halo really quickly. Like I played Halo. I think I played Halo CE when it came out back in in 2001. But I wasn't a big fan of it at the time, or like for some reason I was big into like playing sports games and stuff like that. So it's like I played it and I was like, I'm gonna go back and play either Madden, or I was big into what's the other shooter game that came out around that time? Time Splitters. So that was kind of more my thing for whatever reason. But then I came back to it eventually. I came back to it during Halo 3 for a little bit, and then I didn't dive into it until finally 12, right around Halo 4 is when I really, went both feet in. But for you, have you been following it pretty closely ever since 2001?
Okay, so 2001 I played it. I was never really a multiplayer guy back then.
Okay.
So, I didn't do the whole, drag your console and your big CRT television to somebody else kind of thing. I didn't do that back then. But I really enjoyed the story, and, I played that over and over. And then I took a break for, about a year or two. And then, of course, when Halo 2 came out, I got that and played that again. Wasn't really big into multiplayer until the tail end, just before Halo 3 came out. And with that, when I found out Halo 3 was coming out, I started playing Halo 2 again. Then I started playing the multiplayer part of it, and really started enjoying that. And then when Halo 3 came out, of course, it was time to upgrade and get a new an Xbox. At this point, it became the 360. So I remember the first time when I got my 360 and I got the Halo 3, and the first time I put it in and started playing it, I was just amazed at the jump in graphic fidelity from the original Xbox to the Xbox 360. For me, it was a huge jump. And
it was.
Halo just looked so much better. And I couldn't believe, just how much better it looked. I mean, I was already enthralled with what I had seen from the original first two, and then Halo 3 just exploded, And of course, when the Halo 3 special edition Xbox came out, I had to get that as well.
Okay. So did that start your collecting then, right around Halo 3?
Well, really, the collecting started at the tail end of the Joyride figures. Now, I guess if the Halo Xbox came out before that, I guess technically you could say that was it. I can't remember which one came first on that, but I guess you could say it was that or the tail end of the Joyride figures. But then from then on, after Joyride, the McFarlane figures came, and I got all of those.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Mega came out, then I started into that. And, we can get into that part of it as far as, how it exploded from there.
So. Were you a part of the hype for the, was Mega, marketing, like, hey, this stuff is coming out, or Bungie was, well, I guess it was probably 343 at the time, wasn't it? It was kind of during that transition, wasn't it?
No. It was, when Mega first got the license, it was actually the original Halo Wars.
Right. Yeah.
So.
But I think 343 was starting to take over the mantle at that point, right? The franchise. Because it was Bungie and then Crystal Dynamics.
They were doing Halo 3 sets.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were doing Halo 3 sets, so it was still Bungie.
It was still Bungie when they made that partnership. Great.
Yeah.
So, do you remember? Did you jump on board right away with the Mega stuff?
Yeah. So, if I can backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
You were talking about, how I got started into it. If I can go back then, regarding like building block sets, I had been a Lego person since I was a young kid, and like my first sets back then were Lego Space. So I was always, I've always been a sci-fi person. I've always been a science fiction as well as real space kind of thing. When I was a little kid, we were still doing missions, actual rocket launches and that kind of stuff. And then of course the space shuttle came. So, I was always into real space flight, and then Star Wars came out, so I was into that. And then when Lego did their space sets, I just had to have those.
That's cool.
So when I found out, and of course, jump way ahead then,
sure.
When I found out that the Halo line was going to be a building block set from Mega Brands. I had never heard of Mega Brands before. Didn't even know who they were. So I thought, well, okay, I'll be cautiously optimistic about this, because I was only a Lego person before that. I had never heard of really any other kind of building blocks line before that.
Did you drop off your Lego fandom, in between there? Or did you dabble?
I still collected a little bit. But in between that, there was a long stretch where I really didn't collect much Lego. I mean, I'm an adult collector, so
yeah.
There was a lot of years though where I really wasn't collecting anything.
Sure.
But
the dark times. We all have the dark times.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Right. So when Mega was coming out with the line, like I said, I was cautiously optimistic. I wasn't sure about it, but when I saw pictures of the first sets, I was like, I don't know, but it is Halo. The figures look pretty cool. So, I decided to get some sets, and I will tell you this, even from back then in 2009 when they first came out, those figures, for me, by far blew away anything that Lego has ever done with figures. Yeah. That goes to to the sculpting, the detailing, the paint application, and very much the articulation. The articulation of those figures, even back then when they were a little bit less than what they are now, still blows away anything that Lego has done. And, the fact that they're more realistic with comparison to the, to their brand in this regard, the gaming franchise. I immediately fell in love with those figures. Now, way back then, Mega's pieces didn't quite hold together as well.
Right.
There's a term that's called clutch, and clutch is the definition of that is basically how the figures stick together, how well they stick together. And their clutch back then wasn't quite as good, so on occasion pieces might pop off.
Yeah.
But that was way back, again, 2009. If you zoom up to now, 2020, it's perfect.
Oh yeah. They've almost gone the other way, where when I'm doing Lego, they come apart a little easier than the Mega Construx. Mega Construx is very snug.
Yeah. In fact, I mentioned the Master Chief review that I'll be doing. There's actually a point in that review where I'll go over it where there's a couple of steps in there where I think the clutch is almost too good.
Yeah.
And it's almost a little too hard to get a couple of pieces on, just because it involves side building. If you guys are familiar with that term, where instead of building, on top like you normally do, top and bottom, of course, there's the studs on the side then where you build to the side of the piece. So it adds another layer, another dimensionality to it. So within that set, there's a couple of steps where the clutch is, like I say, almost too good, where it's a little tight to get the pieces on. But once you do, it's just perfect. It's awesome.
It's beautiful. I think I mentioned it one of my previous shows, but I'm looking at it right now. It's an amazing set.
Yeah.
I'm staring at mine right now as well.
Yeah, mine's maybe about 3 feet from me.
Yeah.
It's Cortana.
So what was the first Mega set that you bought? Do you remember?
Okay. So I kind of do.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason why I say that is, there's some debate on this as to, was it the Covenant Ghost or was it the Unsc turret set? Both came out at the same time, and I can't recall which one of those two that it was, but I know for sure it was one of those two. But I can tell you then, whatever one I got the other one within like a day or two, and then very shortly thereafter I got the Warthog set. And then, like, from there on, it was just, that's it. It's over. I'm getting them all. That's it.
I believe the turret is the first one. I believe.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been the first one that came out.
Like the numbered set.
Yeah, I think so.
The first one that came out. But for me, I think it was either that set or the Ghost that I actually picked up in stores.
Okay.
Ghost was the third one I picked up.
Okay.
The Warthog and the gun first. Actually, I bought those at the same day.
So, Sal, do you have one of each?
Nearly, very nearly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, that was actually, according to your notes here, that was going to be an answer later, but I can easily go over that now.
Yeah, I'm curious, just because we've been talking about it. You said that you picked them all up.
Yeah. So, since 2009, for quote unquote mass retail sets, and I'll go into that in a minute. I've only missed out on 5 sets since 2009.
For mass retail, okay. That's 5 sets. That's crazy.
Yeah. And beyond that, there are only 2 exclusive sets that I've missed out on. So let me expound on that then. So 2 of the older sets that I missed out on were, there was a series several years ago that was called the Blue Series. And, there was like a Blue Falcon, there was a Blue Rocket Hog, and so on. But the 2 sets that I missed out on, they were small ones. So there was a Blue Elite Pack set, and a Blue ODST pack, and I just never found them in stores.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, I missed out on them. And I really wanted them both, but more so the Elite one because it had a blue honor guard, and so you could build the like I said, the honor guard from that, and I really, really wanted that one. So those are 2 of the older sets. Then a couple of years back, they also made these little cryopod sets. It was just like a plastic shell cryopod that came with a figure, with a Spartan. I got 2 of the 4. So they had a copper, a silver, a blue, and a green one. And I got the blue and the silver ones, but I never managed to find the green or the copper.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah.
So those
were so rare.
And then the only other set that I don't have as far as mass retail goes, and when I say mass retail, okay, those cryopods, they didn't even see huge distribution in the States here. So I was lucky enough to find the 2 that I found. But the only other set beyond those 4 that I've mentioned now is the Unsc Builders Forge set.
Okay.
And I'm really disappointed that I didn't get that set, because that was another one similar to the 20-in-1 Scorpion set that we mentioned earlier. This is a set that had multiple builds that you could make out of it. There was like a wall that you could make out of it, like a little fort set with a mongoose. You could make a miniature pelican, a miniature warthog, and let's see, a chief's helmet.
Yep.
There were several things, and I wanted to get several of that set because I wanted to have all the different little builds, and I never, not saw it. And it's quote unquote called a mass retail set, but that I know of in the States, it's all extremely very limited release.
It's only in Canada that I know of.
Yeah, and I've tried to get people to help me get it, but I've been unsuccessful so far.
Okay. I think well, when I was tracking stuff down last year, it was on shelves in Canada's Toys R Us. So I don't know if it's
and
anymore.
and see that so bothers me. It's like,
right.
How it's just stagnant there. Bring it to the States.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Since you mentioned Toys R Us, I have to tell you that was such a stab in my heart when we lost Toys R Us. Because Toys R Us for me, that was my go-to. I mean, I don't mind picking up sets at Target. I don't mind picking up sets at Walmart. But for me, and this goes all the way back to any of the toy collecting I ever did, I wanted to support the actual toy store for my toy collection, So when they went out of business, oh man, that it gutted me. My wife would tell you, I really, really felt it. And even to this day, I mean, I know they're supposed to be making a comeback, but I don't know that it's ever going to be the way that it was. And I hope that it is, because we need a dedicated toy store again in the world.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I missed it, I think, by maybe a year. So like when they were doing all their liquidation, I wasn't collecting at the time. So and we have a couple in my area that I could have hit up, but I missed that altogether.
So let me finish here. I'm almost done on that part. So there were two exclusive sets that I didn't get, and technically they're not really sets; they're just figures. So back in 2010, there was HaloFest. And they had 3 figures that they had in little poly bags. And there was an Elite, there was a Marine, and why is the third one not coming to mind?
AC Jackal.
No. That's the special one. It was a Marine and I think a Spartan. Yeah, it was a Spartan.
Yeah, it was just like a normal Spartan too, wasn't it?
Yeah, those are the 3 regular ones. And I got those. But yes, that was the other one that Tom mentioned. Yes, the active camo, not camel. The active camo Jackal was blindly packed within there, and I never got that one. And because I'm so disappointed I didn't get that one. I think of all the ones that I never got, that's probably the one that I want the most, because I'm a huge fan of translucent toys. And in fact, I mention that all the time when I do my reviews. I always, if it includes any kind of a translucent figure or pieces, I always state, that I'm a huge fan of this. Longtime readers know this. So that for me, there's a term in the collecting world that's called the Holy Grail, where there's things that, like only a few people have, or, something that's really worth something. Well, for me, that active camo Jackal is my Holy Grail that I have not been able to get yet.
Oh, man.
But
so how hard do you look on eBay for this stuff? Do you stare?
Well, I've kind of given up on that one now, because first of all, you don't see them come up that often.
Sure.
And when they do, because of their rarity, they're really exorbitant in their asking prices.
Yeah.
And I long ago decided that, I might want something, but I'm just not going to pay those kind of prices.
Yeah.
I just can't, I can't feed into the scalper mentality. I won't do it.
Yeah.
So the only other figure then that I didn't get, it was another exclusive. It was an active camo Spartan with a shotgun, and it came with a numbered block. They only made 100 of them. So if you got this block, it had stamped on it whatever number of 100 that it was.
Okay.
Now, Mega has since released an active camo Spartan with a shotgun. So I'm not worried about the figure because I have that figure, but it's really boils down to that little block then.
You want the block.
But,
yeah.
But again, see, because there was only 100 of those made, you never see those. You'll never find those on eBay. And if you do, forget it. You're going to be paying through the nose for what amounts to a little 2x4 block with a stamped number on it. Right. I just won't do it.
That's interesting to hear because being a newcomer to the collecting, I wasn't sure if Mega had ever leaned into that, that collecting aspect of it that much.
It's
but just the fact that they
that.
have that, 1 out of 100 means that they kind of were at one point anyway.
Yeah. It was something that they special, it was a special thing, and I think they actually kind of learned from that, because there was a lot of people that complained about it back then. I think they kind of learned from that. So they do store exclusives and stuff like that, but they don't make it as hard now.
Yeah.
To find stuff, generally speaking. Distribution, notwithstanding lately. I mean, obviously we've had issues because of COVID-19,
right.
and so on, but. Beyond that, yeah, they've kind of learned their lesson there, and they've shied away from that.
A couple more questions before we dive into the main topic. What's your favorite set? So you have most of them, 99% of them. What is your favorite Mega Bloks, Mega Construx set?
My favorite. Okay. So my favorite set, really, that depends on, are we talking just figure,
sure.
signature? I mean, I've got favorites all over the place for different categories. But if we're really going to narrow it down to just one set, then that for me would have to be the Mammoth.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
And the reason for that is, one, it's such a mammoth set, pun intended. But it has the removable roof sections where you can see the command bridge area, where the people are driving the set. But when you remove the roof areas, it also you get to see the interior. It can hold a full size Mega Bloks Warthog within it. In fact, it can hold 2. It was just such a huge set. I never thought we would see something like that. And it came with, a bunch of cool figures. In fact, that was the first set that came out with Commander Lasky. Now, he's since been made into Captain Lasky, but at the time, that was Commander Lasky.
Yeah.
And so, that was a really cool set to get. So I think I would have to say that one. I really enjoy all of the Signature Series sets. Let's see. There was, we've got the Forward Unto Dawn set. That was the first one that they did, which when that first came out, we didn't quite know what that was, because it didn't follow the same structure as the actual Forward Unto Dawn from Halo 3. So when I started first seeing pictures of this, we're like, what is this ship? Was it
interesting.
Infinity or what? It wasn't quite so. But finally, somebody had found it online. They had found a description of the set, and it said Forward Unto Dawn. So the secret was out that it had been changed. The design had changed from Halo 3 to Halo 4.
For Halo 4, yeah.
This is now the new Forward Unto Dawn. So that set was really cool. Then we got the Scarab, and the Scarab.
Boy.
Now listen, let me tell you a little story about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, for a long time, I was really, really good friends with the vice president of one of the vice presidents of Mega Brands. Affectionately, he's known as Sparky. Okay, his name is Sparks. And so he and I were friends. We used to game all the time. He's moved on since then, so that's why we're not like friends anymore, I guess you could say. But anyways, with regards to the Scarab, we had talked about that. And we had talked about how could we, how could they make this set? They wanted to make it so that it didn't have to have anything under the body to prop it up. So when it came time to talk about things like the hinge joints and whatnot, they had to figure out, how are we going to make this so it doesn't droop, that it can stay, stationary, not have anything underneath. And the conclusion is to build it with these big ball socket joints. But because of that, it lost a little bit of its in-game comparison.
Sure.
So it's not quite super accurate. I mean, it's accurate. It's very accurate. There's a couple things they had to change. For instance, like the bottoms of the legs and the game of the Scarab, it's really thin. But here they had to kind of keep them kind of beefy in order for it to be able to hold all that weight.
Yeah.
Now, originally with the Scarab, that was also when we were supposed to get the Brut Honor Guard, and they've not come out with that figure since. That's one of those few that it's like, oh, they showed the pictures very early on, and people were excited because, oh, we're going to get Brut Honor Guards, and we never did. So that's a missed opportunity that I hope eventually Mega will go back and do.
What's the highest ranking Brut we have? I'm trying to think.
Well, I mean, we have Tartarus, we have Atriox.
Sure, but like from the post-schism covenant.
I mean, we have several chieftains. We have
chieftains. There you go. Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but no honor guard. That would have been cool.
Yeah. So the Scarab set, it was, it's an enjoyable set. There's some cool backstory to that. But that they changed it. Now, they learned their lesson off of that, though, that not to post pictures about their signature set that far in advance, because when they made the change and it came out without the honor guard, the Brut honor guard, people were disappointed. So they made the decision to not come out with photos that early in case there were any design changes.
Yeah.
But then going back to the signature sets, I already mentioned the Mammoth, the Spirit drop set, dropship set. That was fantastic. Now that's a Halo 5 build. So it's not the typical tuning fork that we were used to from the original Bungie series, but that set was incredible for the amount of figures that it had. It had, I believe it was 5 grunts and 2 elites. And the one elite that came with it was this really cool kind of mustard yellow elite officer. And that figure, first of all, you're rarely going to find that figure at all as it is anyways. They don't make too many of that figure, but this one had such a special coloring to it. So it really stood out. But that signature series set, very well detailed. It had a little miniature base that you could build for it so that you could set the Spirit on top of. Really cool. And then finally, with regards to signature sets, of course, is the Infinity. And I don't know about you guys, if you guys all have it or not, but man, I was blown away. I was so happy when they decided they were going to make this set. So
I have mine. It's waiting to be built. I'm trying to decide if I want. I'm trying to decide if I want to build it with my 6-year-old or if I want to build it just for Daddy. So I'm still.
Let me build that for yourself.
Okay.
There's a lot of tiny little pieces to that could be because there's a lot of what we call greeblies, little added details and such that are on the side that could easily be lost.
It's a numbered bag set, right?
What's that?
You get numbered bags.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get boxes too.
There's a story also, if I can, behind the numbered bags. You mind if I tell that real quick?
Yeah, no, I think I know it, but go ahead.
Okay, so with regards to the numbered bags, this was again goes back years, and again I was talking with Sparky about that. I said, with these big sets, why aren't you guys doing numbered bags? Well, the story is that Lego had a patent on that, which I find absolutely ridiculous.
It's absurd.
Why can't a company number their bags for parts? How is that? I couldn't wrap my head around it. But they had the patent, and so eventually, the patent finally ran out. And you have a patent; it's for 25 years.
Is it 20? Okay, 25. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that finally ran out, and finally. That's why we're getting numbered bags now with Construx sets, and I'm so happy for that because a set like the Infinity, for how large it was, there's no way that I would want thousands and thousands of parts on my dining table stretched out like that.
I mean, the Scarab, like all those other signature sets, have it, right, or don't have it. So
right, and
you live that pain.
I remember building those sets of my wife being mad at me for 2 days because I had the dining table covered in parts. So
you missed the NMPD. You missed the NMPD, Sal. Do you not consider the NMPD Pelican signature set?
Yeah, I deliberately didn't mention that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So yes, it's a signature series set, but the reason why I didn't mention that is that we've had a couple of other Pelicans prior to that, and while it's a great set, I do like the set. I don't consider it a signature set. I know that's what they call it, and that's fine. But I don't consider it a signature series because it's a Pelican similar to ones that we've also had. Now, the only major difference with this set is that it's got the big landing pad and a little bit of a side build for like a base. But to me, that doesn't necessarily make it a signature set because it's so similar to other Pelicans that we've had in the past. So it's a good set, but I think we could have had a different thing slotted for that, which I will save for the end of the interview because we have something we're going to talk about later with regards to sets that we want. So I'm going to slot my choice into there, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird choice. I think probably most of us would agree. I mean, I enjoy it. Coming to collecting a little later again, because once I realized there's all the NMPD stuff, that whole wave, I thought it was a cool compliment. Plus, you finally get a Mickey in there, which is cool too.
Yeah.
But it's not quite to the same magnitude as the other ones. Totally agree.
There's a fun fact with that NMPD wave as well. That was actually a fan choice. So they asked the fans what subline they wanted to see, and NMPD was the one at one because ODST was really, really popular at the time, and obviously still is.
That's cool.
Though, with comparison to that, since you bring it up about fans' choice and like sublines, other choices that they had for sublines weren't necessarily that great. They had like civilians or civilian workers as one of the sublines, and I mean, that would be cool to throw one in here and there, but I can't see that being a subline that would have really done well,
Yeah.
And some of I can't remember like some of the other ones, but they were kind of along the lines of that, where it really wasn't, there was, you knew once you saw the list, you knew it was going to be an NMPD because that was the only one that really had any major footing in any of the games, and so you just knew that was going to be the subline that was going to win.
Interesting.
Almost as if they'd planned it that way, Sal.
Right.
Companies aren't above kind of skewing things,
Yeah.
They want to give the appearance of choice, Not saying that's what Mega did, but that's what they did.
What's that saying? Those who vote decide nothing. Those that count the votes decide everything.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Let's move on away from that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your blog real quick, and then we'll dive into the main topic. So HaloFanForLife, talk about a little about the history of that. Sure. When you finally got started with that and dug in. You said you had a blog before, or you were posting reviews before.
Sure.
What finally got you started?
Okay, so like I said, I was doing reviews for another site. It's defunct now, but that was in 2009. And when I say we're doing reviews too, that I don't just do reviews for Mega Construx. I was doing pretty much reviews for anything that was Halo product related. But this particular site, the now defunct site, I was doing mostly McFarlane reviews. A Halo figure, and then Mega Bloks, and then unfortunately, and this happens from time to time in Halo fandom, I had an issue with the guy that was running the site. I was a moderator. I became a moderator on that site. Then I became a quote unquote super moderator, which I had even more abilities on that site, and things were going good. And we had an issue. I won't go into the whole history of it.
Sure.
So I was frustrated by that, and so I basically quit that. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to contribute there anymore. And my wife actually brought it up to me. She said, why don't you start your own blog? You have a lot to offer the community. You could just do your own thing instead, and this way nobody tells you what to do. And I thought, that's a pretty smart idea. So
your wife came up with it then.
So really, we have my wife to thank for the initial thought of the blog. So
I love it. Did she come up with the name too?
No.
Okay.
That was me. That was me. So when I came up with the idea for that, I had to think, what's something that'll kind of stand out, but everybody will know it. And when I say HaloFanForLife, I don't want it to sound condescending as if I'm the only one or the top one. I'm just another Halo Fan for Life. I never, I think what kind of separates me from a lot of other like Halo community sites is that, and I shouldn't say a lot, I should say the bigger ones maybe, is that I consider myself just another fan like anybody else. You know, I'm not better or worse than any other fans. I just happen to be a fan who has a blog, and you know, it's a successful blog, but I don't do it because of those reasons. The motto of my blog is it's by a Halo fan for Halo fans. And that's the truth as it was back then, and it still is now. You know, I don't do my blog for any other reason than to, you know, for the enjoyment of Halo, and at least with regards to the product reviews, if it's something that I can help, you know, another fan make an informed decision on, then I'm all the more for it. And that's why I love doing the reviews. For me, it's also kind of therapeutic. I'm a person that, unfortunately, I suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So for me, building sets is a form of therapy for me. You know, I enjoy working with my hands. I have a degree as it is in industrial design. So this kind of correlates to that as well. So anytime I get an opportunity to make something with my hands, is always, you know, always a good form of therapy for me. The fact that I can photograph it and share that with others, and again, hopefully be able to inform people of, you know, whatever pitfalls there may be of the set or the great things about it, you know, awesome. If they get some entertainment value out of it as well, fantastic.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Cool.
So anyways, so, you know, 2011, we start the site, and I posted pretty much everything back then. Now, and maybe in the last year or two, I've kind of diminished that, and that's only because, you know, Halo 5's been out a while. There's not really much necessarily new to talk about. You know, there's been some, you know, like, you know, there's been the PC releases and things like that. But, you know, with this month, though, with May and all these reviews coming that I'm doing now, now I am ramping it up. I'm starting to ramp it up now so that by the time Infinite comes out, you'll see a lot more articles on everything Halo.
Yeah, makes sense. It's good timing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason we're doing this podcast too. It's good timing. We're all excited for Infinite. Infinite can't get here soon enough.
Right.
We need something to kind of fill the time, right?
Yes.
Well, cool. Let's talk just a couple of quick questions. Any creators out there that you want to highlight, or anybody that out there that helped you get started, that maybe you emulated as you were getting the blog started?
Okay, so on the latter part, not really. There really wasn't too many reviewers at the time. There were maybe a couple other people, but you know, I had already been doing my own thing for a couple years prior to having my blog. So for me, this was just a shift from having, you know, those things on one site over to my own, and actually having a lot more creative freedom. You know, so, you know, is there anybody that, you know, that inspires me? You know, because I have the freedom to do my own thing, I can't really say that I do. It's not that I don't enjoy other people's content. It's just that, you know, I do my own thing, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, are there sites that I would highlight? One site that I certainly use frequently is HaloPedia. You know, I think that's a fantastic resource. If you're looking up, you know, anything, if there's maybe a picture or something that you need, or you need some lore information or whatever it is. So I use that frequently for whether it's my articles or just talking about Halo in general with friends or whatever. So I'd probably say that's the one. Now, I don't know if I should mention this because I don't want you guys to take any offense. There was a podcast though that I did become friends with just before Halo 4, and they were part of what helped put me on the map, so to speak.
Okay.
But if I can, I'll just quickly go over that. So before Halo 4 came out, when Forward Unto Dawn was the series, if you remember that, I had created a comic based off of screenshots from that series. So each week there was an episode. There were 5 episodes, and each week I would take just a slew of screenshots from that, and then compile that into a document that made it look like it was a comic book. Of course, I'd have to take all the screenshots into Photoshop and do some magic there, and then add all the text in and all that. So on average, I was spending about 55 hours per week doing a comic book each week. And when those started coming out, at the time, BS Angel was the community manager.
Yeah.
And she saw that, and she started featuring those. And then Podtacular, that's the other podcast.
Yeah.
They noticed. And so they started having me on as a guest for that. And then when Halo 4 finally came out, well, there was Spartan Ops. And Spartan Ops used to do, they used to have every week they would come out with, it would be a new episode, and you'd have 5 missions per episode. But the episode that was another thing that I took a slew of screenshots of that and turned that into a comic book as well. So I did 10 comic books based off of each, one each episode.
Yeah.
And again, 55 hours regular, and that was the average.
Sure.
I mean, I did so much work on those, so much. And the thing is if you look at that compared to what I could do now, I could do a comic book so much better and faster. But that was when I was, it was something new for me, something different. So I really put my all into it back then. But anyways, and then at the end of that, after I had all 10 comic books done, I compiled those then into a graphic novel that ended up being a 300-page graphic novel.
Whoa.
So, yeah. Dang. And that's still, I have the link still up on my site where you can download that too. It's pretty,
I gotta find that.
Yeah, I'll give that to you afterwards. But
awesome.
And so, that was, I would say that's probably the first thing that really put me on the map. And then I became more well known then for my toy reviews, afterwards.
So was that before Duststorm took over Podtacular?
No, that was actually, he had only been with Podtacular, I think, a year maybe prior to that. So yeah, he had already taken over by then.
Gotcha. Him and we love Podtacular. Duststorm and Godzilla Todd, I believe, are the helm of the show still. So yeah, great call out.